I'm thinking about when to use marketing and when not to use marketing. And I'm going back to my Russell Brunson days in 2020 where I first learned about that kind of marketing. So marketing to me isn't that, but it's part of it. It's just part of it. Marketing's bigger than that. And I've been in the industry my whole career. So I'm aware of these differences and these trends and stuff. And I thought, why didn't Russell Brunson's playbook work for me? I started in 2020, 2021, and into 2022. And I kind of got rid of his stuff in 2020, 2021. And then I found more from other people. Alex Hormozy, Todd Brown, all the cast of characters, the Instagram celebrities, the LinkedIn copywriters, and the LinkedIn influencer personalities and all of that stuff. So I went down that and I ran all those playbooks, start your own event, bring on guests, and they'll become your clients, start a school community. I did that in 2023, early. Oh, wait, 20. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't like doing this. And I realized it was a 2-year detour into hell, but I ended up loving hell because I learned what I needed to know to do it different. I'm rewriting this playbook for myself and testing it. And as I read through Expert Secrets yesterday, I'm like, I'm rewriting this book. I'm not going to bother with .com secrets because Russell Brunson himself admitted it doesn't work. He said it doesn't work in Expert Secrets. And I'm reading, and I'm like, you made a lot of money with something that doesn't work. And then Expert Secrets was the solution. So I'm reading Expert Secrets that works, and it did work. But for who? Not me, and not you probably. Who? Alex Hormozy, Layla Hormozy, and people like that. Worked for them. They spent 50 grand to go out to his private mastermind group, and he taught them how to do it. Why did it work? Because he's good at marketing, and they're good at being originals. That's the combo. Somebody who's good at marketing and someone who's good at being an original. And they work together closely. That's the combo. Does that work? Yeah, of course it works. Does it work today? I don't know. It's tougher, but it can work. I see it, but it's going to take longer and you're going to need more money today. Why? Because that was back in 2020 and even before. It was newer. How simple is that? Why did it work? Because it was newer. Why doesn't it work now? Because it's old. Everybody's doing it. I'm like, what is going on? So I had to ask myself, why am I copying these people? This is insane. I've succeeded my whole life never copying anybody. Why am I copying these people? And I realized it's because I was fascinated and I wanted to learn how to do it, not to copy them, but to find my own way to do it. I am uneducatable. I have been that way since kindergarten. Larry's doing better because now he's paying attention. I didn't want to pay attention because what they were teaching me didn't make any sense to me because I didn't want to learn what they were teaching. I was like that even in college, barely made it into college, but I did, and I succeeded in it. But I couldn't even declare a major. I took so many different kinds of classes, and they're like, "You can't do that." I said, "Well, I just did. You're not supposed to. Now you can't graduate." And I had to bulk up to be able to graduate. I can't learn from someone else's system because I'm creating my own all the time. I'm an original creator. And I didn't know that. I just felt like I can't follow this stuff. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm doing it. I got my notebooks. I could show you. When I did offers from Alex Hormozy, I spent 12 months on it. I even taught it. And I gave him credit. But I taught it and I started reformulating it because and Russell Brunson says he's like this in Expert Secrets. And I'm like, yeah, But the book has flaws, complete flaws, because there's assumptions that he's making in the book that aren't true. I'm rewriting it. I already did. I did the first chapter for me, not his full chapter, because there's a lot in that book. I'm rewriting the whole book. And I'm going to rewrite Alex Hormozi's stuff too, because it's got flaws in it. There's assumptions they're making that aren't true. How did I figure that out? Because I did it. And I'm like, why doesn't this work? Because it's not based on principles. It's based on what worked for them in a moment in time that's over. The world changed. That's why it doesn't work. And they're like, yeah, but look at all the money he made. Well, because he's innovating. He's doing something different. That's not what he's teaching, though. Or they're just good at marketing. I don't know. But all I know is those and I'm going to tell you what they are. And I wrote it and said, you go to Substack. Yeah, I've got a content page. Go find my Substack article I published yesterday. I rewrote the beginning of Expert Secrets because it's wrong. It's limited to a moment in time. And it's what worked for Russell Brunson back then. And people like Alex and Layla Hermosi and the other people in the private mastermind circles that paid him 50 grand. And then they got a little plaque. I'm like, I want my 2 comma club or one. I was trying to get that too. I'm like, what am I doing? Am I a complete idiot? Why would I follow this guy? Because he has $100 million. I'm like, I want that. I don't want $100 million company. I want a $30 million company. I already have a passive income company, and I built a lifestyle company when I was in my 20s. And then I've entered tons of new markets and made money. And what I want now is what I want. And it's got to succeed financially or it's not worth it. I've always felt that way. So the financial success has got to be there, but it's not just about the money. It's about getting what I want, freedom, satisfaction, happiness on my own terms, and creating a life from that I want. That's the point. You see where I'm going? They're not doing that and teaching it that way. They're teaching, here's how I did it. And then they break it down so you can copy them. That's not how they succeeded. And that's not how the people who use that system succeeded at all. At all. They don't even know how they succeeded because they don't understand it. They don't understand what they did to succeed. If they did, they'd be talking about it. And they're not. I'm going to prove it to you. Don't take my word for it. I'm going to prove it to you. That's my job right now. Prove it. I have to prove it because I've been talking like this for 2 years. Now I have to prove it, but I have. Now I have to prove it to you. I already proved it to myself and the inner circle that I've formed here, but I'm going to prove it to you because it works. What I'm talking about works. Why? Because it's not copy me. It's don't copy me. That's why. It's based on real life. How did this happen? I got distracted in 2020 from what I've always done. Why? Social media. Because I'm comparing. So I'm looking around and I'm like, look at all these people. And they're saying they have what I wanted, which was a company that works on my own terms. And I had that. I've had it multiple times. But then the change comes. The first big change that crushed me was the retail industry collapsed. Not much I could do about that. That had to do with China and Walmart and the consolidation of the American economy where the Midwest collapsed. I watched these small towns, mid-sized cities collapse in front of my very eyes. Flyover country were my customers. We let that happen in the United States. We let a huge chunk of the economy, the mom and pop economy, be destroyed. We did that. I'm still pissed. But I'm glad I'm out because I didn't want to be in that company anymore. I wanted to do something different. And I did. I got into the brand and marketing industry and succeeded there. And it was a cool little creative shop, which is fun to work in. And I was divorced at the time, so I got to hang out in Chicago and have fun. So it was great. And then a bot bought it. What's a bot? A roll-up. These are financial companies that blew through all and bought all these little cool agencies and ruined them. So I quit. And I did a big sailing trip. And then I came back and I had a detour into insurance, which I learned how to sell door to door business insurance. And I innovated. I created a new way to sell State Farm insurance for an agent. It worked. And then I got into marketing technology. Was the ad networks, Facebook, Google were really emerging. And that was the time when the Russell Brunson characters started to really succeed. A little bit after I was in that industry, but what Russell Brunson did is he figured out Google. So I was listening to Eric Schmidt yesterday and I'm like, I'm trying to be nice. I really am. I'm trying to be nice. But he's giving business advice on LinkedIn. I'm like, what are you talking about? It doesn't work. Like, okay, if I'm Amazon or Starbucks or Google, your business advice is useful. His business advice is useless to me. Useless. Useless. Because it works if you have if you have big money backing you. I mean, Sequoia invested in Google. The founders bought submarines and islands in the South Pacific. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? So he's saying, how do you succeed? It's the same Russell Brunson playbook. It's like, get all these people to notice you, pay attention to you, and monetize the audience. It's the same thing. That's what Google did. Intent-based demand generation. And then you can throw branding into it. And they upset the entire ad agency industry. I was there because I'm selling to all these people and they're freaking out. They're like, what do we do about Google? What do we do about Google? And then social media, same thing. What do we do about social media? Everybody's freaking out because they're all terrified. I'm like, where's the opportunity? Now, my fear was not succeeding with my own pathway. My fear was having to work for these kind of people. That was my fear, biggest fear. Like, what if I can't succeed on my own? And that's what happened at times. I had to work for great companies, but terrible people. Not bad people. It's just they were short-term thinkers. That's the worst. Short-term thinkers, people who have no vision. They can't see creative. They can't think creatively and see what's next because they're obsessed with money and quarterly returns and just sales pipeline valuations and stuff. It's just exhausting to work with people like this. And I have a lot, but I've always found my own way through it. And when I listen to somebody like Eric Schmidt at Google, I'm just like, you don't know what you're talking about in relation to me. You know what you're talking about in relation to you, but not in relation to me. And the Russell Brunson thing with Google and selling a potato gun and figuring out how to get people to come to a little ad and then using late night TV tactics they use to sell crappy products nobody really wants, using marketing persuasion is the playbook today. And I'm like, ew. And then the other playbook is become popular on LinkedIn or Instagram or YouTube by becoming a little mini celebrity. Ew. And then we get into the content stuff, become a content authority by writing content that converts. Ew. For me, not for you. That's the point. I don't want to do it anymore because I spent my whole life doing this kind of stuff. And the 2-year detour was the copying detour of thinking they know. Why did I think they knew? Because they use marketing persuasion. It's that simple. It works. It works until people wise up. What's happening now? People are sick of it. Not everybody. A lot of people still believe it. Aspire just had a conference and they trotted out all the celebrities, Cody Sanchez, David Goggins, like all these, Grant Cardone, I think all these celebrities. And we were talking to somebody, 50 grand on how to become a TEDx speaker. And I'm like, oh no, tell them. And Brian Muka told the guy, he's like, no, you don't understand. And Brian's like, I do understand. He says, no, you don't understand. It's going to work. He's like, no, it's not going to work. Is it too late? He's like, no, I'm excited. Oh, okay. You got to learn the lesson. There's a lot of beginners. They keep coming into the market and they keep buying this crap. He's going to spend another 25 grand on something that won't work. The celebrities on stage didn't do this to succeed. They did their own thing, figured it out, and now they're teaching whatever they're teaching. The marketers that they're paying who run these conferences and provide the stages are cleaning up still with people like me for 2 years. Now I'm out. I'm on to ya. And Napoleon Hill said something really interesting. And he said, don't criticize something if you don't have an alternative. I got an alternative and I'm going to prove it to you. I already proved it to me. That's why I can talk about it with confidence, because I know it works. Why? Because it's a follow your own pathway approach. You'll see it. You'll see right away what I'm talking about because it makes sense. If I asked you to do what I did the last 5 years of my life, putting everything on the line to do this, everything I've got went into this, everything. I didn't hold anything back. If I was sitting on $100 million, I wouldn't trust me either. I'm doing the real work. People talk about it. I'm doing it. We're doing it. That's the point. The we is critical right now. Nobody can do all of this. It's too complex. That's what's next. The founding member group I've put together are people who are best in the world, best in class, including me. My mentor, Jed Jacobs, called himself the CEO's CEO. He ran businesses, Japanese companies in the United States. And he said, Larry, you're the best in the world I've ever seen at what you do. And I'm like, what do I do? He says, I don't know. I know now. It's business development, creating entrepreneur structures, networking and community, inner development work, and knowing what's next and jumping into it. I am the best in the world at this in my own way. There's someone else who's the best in the world at another version of it. That's the point. How do you become best in the world? That's your job. Not to become like Russell Brunson or me or Alex Hormozy. Stop following these people unless you like it. Then follow them. I followed them for 2 years because I was learning. Now I'm coming at them. What am I doing? How am I doing it? I'm using marketing right now, positioning. I'm not using bullshit marketing. I'm using real marketing. There's a book called Positioning, which doesn't work anymore because everyone's doing it. But if you look at the principles of positioning, it's what I'm doing right now as I'm talking to you. The fundamental principle of that entire book is other people's minds are cluttered. They can only think of 5 or 7 things at one time. What are they thinking about? Success. Success. What are the pathways to success? The shared desire is success. I want to succeed. That's my market. I want to succeed. I'm in the I want to succeed market. Entrepreneurs, coaches, service providers. I want to succeed. What does that mean? Doesn't matter. The desire is the same. I want to succeed. Why am I not succeeding? Is the question. The question is, why am I not succeeding? Everyone's asking themselves this question. How do I get more? How do I succeed better? How do I succeed on my own terms? How do I succeed with purpose? How do I succeed with enjoyment? How do I succeed in a way that makes an impact? It doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. How do I win? How do I get off the couch for some people? How do I succeed is the common theme in my market. It's the shared desire. I learned that from Eugene Schwartz, Beyond Advertising, and Trout and Rice, Positioning. Forget all this other crap. Dan Kennedy, don't bother with that. It's ridiculous. Russell Brunson, it's not right. Alex Hormozy stuff, it's not right. It's not based on fundamental universal principles from what I can tell. It works for them and it works for people like them, particularly if you pay for the inner circle groups. It will probably work for you if you have an original thing. If you want to hire Evan Carmichael to do your YouTube and you're an original, it'll work. I think it'll work. If you want to go to brand builders that built up Lewis Howes and they got a whole, I mean, when I talked to them, I looked at their website. I'm like, are these really your clients? Are you making this up? Great guy. He's like, no, these are really our clients. And I looked at how they did it. And I'm like, yeah, that's based on principles. That's why it worked. But those other people had to be original. They had to have something to sell. Alex Hormozy, Russell Brunson, they're putting lipstick on pigs. They don't care what the product is. School, Sam Ovens, they don't care what the product is. It doesn't matter. They only care about the outcome. And that doesn't last. It won't work for most people. It's going to fail. I guarantee you, I'm good. 2 years. And I had some success, but I'm like, this is a learning lab. I'm like, I'm not supposed to succeed here using this stuff because then I won't get to do the cool thing that I'm doing now. That's what I learned. It's a learning lab. I got to go through the experimentation process for a couple years to realize this is not right. But I know what they're doing and how they do it, and I can do it. But I don't anymore. You can do it too. You can do it too. You can integrate marketing of any kind with the stuff I'm talking about, which is reality, which is based on principles. And I'm going to prove it. Look at my content. I'm proving it. And I'm proving it in what I'm doing. You'll see. Everyone will see. Because what's real lasts. That's why I'm doing it, because I want it to last. I don't want to build another company that I have to pivot in 7 years or 5 years. Because I've done that my whole life. But that allowed me to be able to do this. Reinvent the playbook for inner development, business development, entrepreneur structures, community, and understanding how to surf waves of change rather than be crushed by them. Who gets crushed? People who do Russell Brunson's program and Alex Hormozy's program. You're going to get crushed because you're copying. Unless you're an original and you go in the inner circle. And then people are like, well, I can't be an original. Everybody can be an original. That's the whole point. So Russell Brunson's talking about this idea of the prime mover in a prime mover community and school of do it like I did. I'm like, are you kidding me? That makes no sense. A prime mover is someone who goes their own direction. Everybody's a prime mover. He's got that right. But not if you follow him. I'm going to show you how to be a prime mover because you're going to do it your own way. He talks about this in his book. Entrepreneurship in business is a gift. It's a received gift. It's a calling. You have a calling. I have a calling. He did too. And then he screwed it up. I'm convinced of that. I don't know why. If it's ego or desire for more money or desire for relevance, but I'm like, this is bullshit stuff that you're putting out there. It's, version 5 of the same thing that worked years before for very few people. But for you, it certainly worked. And the inner circle that formed around you, it definitely worked. No question. Because they're originals. Same thing. So I'm looking at it now and I'm like, okay, what do you need? Everything. That's what I'm doing. So I got the business development part, market authority planning. I've got how to lower the parking brakes. That's some inner development stuff and what I call the action vision accelerator action library. I've got the red pill pathway 8-stage program. I'm pulling all this stuff out. I'm going to put a ton of it out online. I already have for free. That's Alex Hormozy did. So I'm copying him. I'm not doing what he did though, but I'm using that principle of give people a chance to figure it out. Because when you do something new, people don't get it right away. That's been my frustration the last few years because people don't know what I'm talking about because I hadn't figured it out yet. That's why. It was my own fault. We're 100% responsible for ourselves. That's a principle. I know that. I had to get there. It takes a while. Same with you. But you can go there faster. People say, oh, overnight success takes 20, 30 years. That's not true. It took 20, 30 years for those people, particularly back then. It can happen quick now because we have all these tools. But the key is the group. You can't do this without a group. Napoleon Hill said that. That's true. But a group that's not real based on following a leader in a private mastermind group, 50 grand or what, that's ridiculous. Don't pay that. It's not going to work. I almost did it 2 years ago. This guy has this thing called Group Coach Nation, Chris Williams, and I like him. He's a good guy, and I almost paid him, and thank God I didn't. Year later, I'd be right where I am now with another learning experience. So I got lucky. Because that would have been a bigger, more expensive mistake. And the reason I almost did it was fear, because I was in this moment of, I don't know what to do. This was early February 2023. My wife's frustrated. She's like, why don't you just go back to your business, Larry? Oh my God, it's too risky. I'm like, yeah, but I can't. I don't want to go back. So I'm looking for an answer. And I went to, I went in Chris Williams' funnel and I went to his free events. And I'm like, I like this guy a lot and I like these people. And I almost paid. It would have failed because it's an old method. It would have failed for me. Plus, I can't learn from anybody. That's the other thing. But it wasn't based on principles. It was based on do things like this. And I saw that. I almost bought it, but I didn't. It was a lot of money. It was like $2,000 a month for a year. Maybe more than that. I don't remember. But I'm like, I'm not doing this. This is not going to work. It's old. This is what worked a few years before. So what I've got is Brian Muka, who runs an invincibility practice every day. You're never, this is, people are talking about, ayahuasca and ice baths and breath and meditation. Brian's nailed it. World class. Brian Muka is world class because he's innovating. And he's not going to teach you how to do it like him. He's going to help you find your own breath and your own invincibility practice and your own emergency procedure. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole group, but we're going to have now, like it's ready, almost. There's tech stuff, but you can come now. All right. There's enough to come right now. So see the link, come 7-day guest pass. There's no cash register at the end. There's options that include paying me money, but you get a lot out of it and you can finance it. And we've got ways you can make money and passive income approaches. So there's no guaranteed cash register. And I guarantee you one thing I will never do is have a private inner circle group that costs more for special people. Everybody's special. Everybody's special. Prime mover is not 1% of the population. It's just the few people who actually do it. You don't have to go as far as them. Your destiny is your destiny. It's not mine. Not everyone is designed and geared to innovate and lead and transform things. I am. That's why I do it. I've been doing it my whole life. So is Brian. You don't have to be. We'll have communications clarity sessions weekly. We've got brand clarity sessions weekly. We've got clarity sessions on technology. We've got clarity sessions weekly. I can't remember anymore. There's so many of them. That's just the 7-day guest pass stuff. I'm going for 12 founding members, and I got 8 right now. Closing, how to close business. We got one of those. It's all principle based. It's none of this bullshit stuff. It's real because the people who are teaching it are experts. How to be productive and create a lifestyle oriented business. We got one of those weekly. That's just the beginning. That's just the beginning. The campus stuff is even broader. You'll see. It's coming because it's already